remember, but that's likely
Okay, why is that likely?
because we were working with Sue Novak fairly regularly about issues occurring at CCI. So we were trying to provide her support and guidance. And we also needed to make sure that there were things that were happening in place because we knew that lockdowns were not in line with our philosophy on how to treat people that were in our care. And so, yeah, it's likely that we got daily updates from the warden, but I wouldn't even just say they were daily updates. It was conversation and discussion.
Oh, okay. And you said before you were giving her support, right? Did I hear that?
Correct.
How about supervision? Were you giving her supervision anytime?
Yeah,
Okay. During November of 2019?
of course.
Okay. What was the form of that supervision?
I mean, that's part of supervising an employee is providing them support, having discussions with them, providing them additional resources if they need it. This is a professional. This isn't someone that it's not a low level employee that you have to micromanage. This was a colleague and a professional that you had professional conversations with. So it's not like I was checking her time every few hours. This is someone who we trusted and who we met with on a regular occasion to ensure that she was supported and that she had everything she needed to be successful.
Are you talking about Sue Novak or Doug Percy?
Talking about Sue Novak.
Oh, okay. Um, so at any time during your discussions with the secretary about initiating a 15807, did you discuss Doug Percy?
Discuss Doug Percy in what way?
Anyway,
I mean, I'm sure Doug Percy's name came up, but I don't know that I had a specific discussion about Doug Percy.
great. So how did his name come up?
I'm not sure.
Because you don't remember something else.
No, I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Um, Now, during that discussion, did you discuss the escape itself?
During Mr. Cross, I had so many conversations with the secretary after actually the entire time that I was in that position, but specifically after April 16th and on about the escape. So there isn't any one discussion that I can point to because we had several, sometimes several throughout the course of a day. So I can't recall specific discussions I had with the secretary because we talked all the time.
But you do recall that you consulted the secretary before you filed this 15807, right?
Yes, because I needed to let him know that I was going to put the CCI leadership team on administrative leave with pay and that we were going to be investigating. That, again, as I testified before, high profile issues, sensitive issues, those are things that I would go to the secretary on as a matter of practice.
Okay.
There was no surprises.
Okay. So it's your testimony today that you're the one making the decision, right? For the 15807.
In this particular case, I made the decision to investigate Sue Novak, Luke Weber, and the security director.
Okay. And that's your testimony today, right?
Yes.
Okay. And not to investigate Doug Percy?
That was not on the table, sir.
Why not?
I had nothing to go off of.
Okay. So now let's go on to what you did have to go off of. What did you tell the secretary were the reasons for the escape?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
What did you tell the secretary were the reasons for the escape?
I don't know that I can that I knew the reasons for the escape. I wasn't the person escaping or the people escaping.
I appreciate that nuance. So what I'm talking about is what were the rule violations that gave rise to the escape that you talked to the secretary about?
We did
I'm gonna
not
object, yes. So I'll withdraw.
did not discuss rule violations. We discussed issues and concerns that led up to the escape.
Great. Now that we got that vocabulary out of the way, what issues and concerns about the escape did you discuss with the secretary?
There were a number of issues and concerns related to security, related to inaction by certain individuals, related to not following rules and policies. I mean, there was a lot there that.
Great. Let's identify them. What are those issues?
I mean, I think I just said it. There were security issues. There was.
Security issues.
What were the security issues?
Yes.
From what I remember, there were a number of security issues, and the fact that there were individuals that did not check the IDs of the persons in our care when they were leaving the housing unit.
Okay.
There was not an escort available when they were leaving the housing unit. The tower officer was not being alert at the time. The perimeter driver was not being alert at the time of the escape. The fence was not working. There were no alarms that were set off. I mean, there was a number of issues related to security, which is why there was an escape.
Okay. How did the fence not working contribute to the escape, if at all?
From what I recall, the alarm did not go off.
Okay.
Uh,
And now that is it correct that there's a razor wire fence before the stun fence or something else?
I don't remember the specifics.
Okay. Do you know how they got through the razor wire fence?
They climbed.
They climbed over the razor wire fence.
That is my understanding of what occurred is they climbed over all of the fences at CCI.
Huh? Okay. Let's talk about the razor wire. Is there now that was purposely left in place at CCI, right?
I'm gonna object to relevance about the razor wire.
Well, now it's relevant as can be. If they climbed over
Please
the razor
explain
wire-
to me, what is it? Go ahead.
The razor wire is relevant because if they needed to traverse that to get to the stun fence and they were able to climb that, that's pretty important given Mr. Swatchard's testimony about how nobody goes over this fence and people don't try to do that. So if that was the security failure, and is also his testimony saying that this razor wire fence was put in front of the stun fence for the purpose of apparently because of the whims of the warden at that time, and that the department knew about it through several security audits and continued to not replace that and didn't replace it until this escape happened, or didn't even make any attempts, I should say, to replace it until this escape happened. So now if we're learning that they climbed over this razor wire fence, that's pretty relevant to know why then this stun fence, because the stun fence doesn't even need to be there, according to the testimony of Mr. Swatcher, if the razor wire fence is in place.
Okay. Can we have questions that are related specifically to Ms. Novak and to Ms. Fessahaye's knowledge regarding this other information, and not just how this fence, matter. Let's just try to get into how it connects to this case and any belief concerns
I
about
appreciate
how
that.
Ms. Novak did.
All right. So this razor wire fence, you don't know if that was in front of the stun fence or something else?
I don't remember the layout.
Okay.
I remember is that the individuals were able to escape by climbing fences at CCI.
Well, that's right, but you have you ever been to CCI?
Of course.
Okay. And had you been there prior to the escape?
Yes.
Okay. But you had never been a warden at any institution prior to becoming the administrator, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you know if that's ever happened? If there's ever been, other than you, a administrator who had never been a warden?
I'm going to object to relevance.
Can you answer the question again? And can you speak up? I'm having a little trouble understanding you, Mr. Cross.
Okay. So my question was, were you aware of there being any other administrator who had became the administrator without being a warden?
Yes.
Who's that?
Don't remember the name.
Oh, okay. So the alarm for the stun fence didn't go off, is that right?
That's my recollection.
Okay. Now, what about the after action report led you to believe that any of those things were in the responsibility of Sue Novak?
From what I recall, as a part of the first wave of investigations, the leadership team at CCI were either mentioned, referred to, discussed by individuals that were being investigated. And there were, and I don't remember the specific allegations, but there was enough there that we felt that there was enough there for us to at least start asking questions. And the only way we could do that is by launching an investigation. So, I'm sorry?
You said there's enough there so we could start asking questions. Who's we?
I mean, the investigators, I guess I'm using we as like in the royal term.
Okay. But not the secretary or somebody, or is included in that we or no?
I consulted with the secretary once I thought that we needed to investigate the leadership team. So I let him know what my plan was.
Okay. At your time as administrator, how many wardens did you sign 15807s for?
I don't remember.
Okay. Was it more than one?
I don't remember. And I don't remember, I'm not trying to be cute about it. I just worked there for 6.5 years and I saw wardens get investigated. I just don't remember if it was under me or others.
Okay. What did these wardens get investigated for, if you recall?
There was some ethical issues, I recall. I recall there being, trying to remember. I remember for certain there was an ethical issue. I remember for certain that I believe there was, I don't know if the person was actually investigated or not, but I remember discussions related to some inappropriate comments. So there was a whole host of issues that we discussed on a regular basis.
Who did you discuss these with?
It depended on what role I was in. So when I was in employment relations within human resources, I would If it was related to a warden, I would, or someone in, prison leadership, I would be consulting with either the assistant administrator or the administrator at the time. When I was practicing law, same thing. And then obviously when I was the administrator, I would be working with the leadership team that I had, and meaning like my assistant administrators, if that was appropriate, and then the deputy secretary and the secretary.
Okay. Could you, as practice, as division administrator, and initiate an investigation into a warden without consulting the secretary?
I certainly had the authority to, but it would not have been smart for me to do so.
Why not?
Because again, we didn't want to have any surprises. So investigating a warden is a high profile individual. You want to ensure that the secretary knows about it, because it could become an issue for the institution. It could get into the media. It could rise up to the level of the governor's office. So those are things that I would absolutely want to inform the secretary of. I think that was prudent to do so.
Okay. Well, so during your time working for the Department of Corrections, do you recall a warden ever being investigated, formally investigated, other than Sue Novak?
Yes.
Okay. And during your time, you just can't remember if that happened during your time as division administrator or what?
Right. I can't remember the
Okay.
time period, but I do remember I remember one for sure because it was in the paper.
Okay, which one is that?
It was Scott Eckstein, I believe,
Okay,
and a couple of other individuals that were in leadership positions.
okay, and he was a warden?
Correct.
Okay, when did this happen?
Don't remember.
But while you were the administrator?
No, I don't believe that one was while I was administrator. No.
Okay, so other than that, do you recall any other wardens being investigated?
I don't remember specifically. I remember discussions into looking into individuals. I believe there was at least a couple of more wardens that were investigated. I just don't remember specifics. I only remember that one specifically because of the media attention around it.
So the only two investigations of warden that you can remember during your entire tenure at the Department of Corrections is Sue Novak and Scott Eckstein, is that right?
Those are the ones that I can remember and name. But
Okay.
I believe there were others that were either looked into either informally or formally. I just don't know which ones.
Okay. So it's fair to say that it's a fairly rare occurrence for a warden to be investigated, right?
I don't know that I would say that specifically.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to administrative leave here. Is there a practice at the Department of Corrections for when, let's just say, a warden puts somebody out on administrative leave?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question? I don't think I understood it.
Of course. Is there a practice at the Department of Corrections for when a warden puts somebody out on administrative leave?
Yes.
Okay. What needs to happen before a warden could put an employee out on administrative leave?
They work with HR to draft the administrative leave letter.
Okay. Anything else?
They typically would notify, depending on what the issue was, they may notify their supervisor, which would be the assistant administrator.
Okay, that's the guy that's there to support them, right?
That is their supervisor.
Okay. Okay, talk to supervisor. Work with HR, anything else?
I don't know that there's any specific steps there that I recall. I think it
Okay,
was very situational.
well, then let's talk about the division administrator. Is there anything that a division administrator needs to do to put somebody out on administrative leave?
Is there anything I would need to do in order to put someone out on administrative leave?
Sure. For example, you, while you were the administrator.
I would, again, work with HR to draft the administrative leave letter.
Okay,
I would notify my supervisor.
who was?
It was Secretary Carr.
Okay. You would notify him, huh? Okay. And what else?
Depending on the issue, I might have to consult with legal or the police. It really was dependent on the situation.
Okay. And again, what level are you signing 15807? What level of employee are you signing 15807 for?
Typically people that were in leadership.
So that would be under you, that would be the warden and Mr. Percy's position, right?
Yes, assistant administrators. I also supervised directors. There were other people that were at a high level that were under investigation under my authority.
At the rank of warden or something else?
Not at the rank.
Okay, so
I
we're
don't
talking
remember if it was the rank of warden. I am specifically recalling a specific individual that was a central office leader.
okay, but you're not, the director is not the, the administrator is not the appointing authority for anybody at the institution level, right?
Outside of leadership, you mean?
Well, outside of the, are you the appointing authority for the deputy warden?
I think if there is a conflict, then it would bump up to me.
Okay. And it's your testimony today that the warden is the one making that decision at the institutional level and below? Is that right?
Can you be more specific?
The warden is making the decision to put somebody out on administrative leave at the institution level and below.
The warden has the authority as the appointing authority to put an individual that she supervises at the institution on administrative leave with pay. That is correct.
I appreciate that answer, but can you answer my question, which is who makes the decision? I didn't ask who has the authority. I said who makes the decision. Can you answer that question, please?
Well, the appointing authority is the decision maker, sir.
Okay. Okay.